Welcome to another video on the banking system program that we are building using the C programming language. In the previous videos, we have implemented the menu part and the view balance and deposit funds section. In this video, we will implement the withdraw funds section and we will finish this program. Now we will implement the withdraw funds section. So again, what we do is we will create a function to implement the withdraw funds section. So before the implementation of this main function, we will define the withdraw funds function. Again, this function will not return any value. So it will be void data type. And then we call this function as withdraw funds. And here, similar to the deposit funds, when a user withdraws the funds, his balance will be updated. So in order to update the user's balance, we have to get the memory address of the user's balance variable. So this function will take the memory address of a variable. So it will be double and then a pointer to the balance variable. And now what we have to do is we have to ask the user how much account you want to withdraw, and if the user enters a proper amount, if that amount is available in his balance, we can allow the user to withdraw the balance. Otherwise, we have to display a message. If the user has entered proper amount, an amount which he has in his bank account, then we can allow the user to withdraw, and once the withdrawal happens, we have to update the user's balance. The first thing that we do is we will define a variable for storing the value that the user wants to withdraw. So again, I will take the double data type. I will call this variable as withdrawal. And after that, we will ask the user to enter the amount that he wants to withdraw. So here I will use the printf function and I will display this message, enter the amount to withdraw. And after that, the user will enter a value. We have to read that. So here I will use the scanf function and I will read the value from the user and I will store that in this variable. Again, remember, since we are reading a value of type double here, we use the format specifier %lf. Now we have the amount that the user wants to withdraw. And now what we have to do is we have to check whether user has that amount in his account that he wants to withdraw. And also we have to check whether the user has entered a proper value. For example, user can enter a value of 0 or a negative number. So there is no point of withdrawing 0 or negative number. We have to check for that. Now here, what we do is we will check whether the user has entered a value which is 0 or a negative number. So here I will use the if conditional statement and I will check whether the value entered for the withdrawal is less than or equal to 0. In that case, what we want to do is we want to display a message stating that you have to enter proper amount in order to withdraw. So here I will say invalid withdrawal amount, please try again. Now, if the user has entered a value which is greater than 0, we have to check whether the withdrawal amount is less than the balance that the user has in his bank account. For that, we will have the else if, and here in this case, we will check whether the withdrawal amount that the user has entered is greater than the balance that he has in his bank account. So here we are using this star, which is a pointer dereferencing operator. And by using this, we are getting the balance of the user. And we are checking whether this withdrawal amount is greater than the balance that the user has in his account. In that case, we will display a message, insufficient balance, and then we will display the balance that the user has in his account. Now after that, we will have the else part. If we come to this else part, it means that user has entered a proper value that he wants to withdraw, a value which is not 0 or a negative number, and then the user has entered an amount which is less than the balance that he has in his bank account. So what we can do, we can allow the withdrawal. So here we will allow the withdrawal, and what we have to do is we have to update the balance that the user has in his account balance. So here we will write balance minus equal to and then the withdrawal amount, and after that we will display a message stating that you have withdrawn successfully. So here we will say you have withdrawn this amount and your new balance is this amount. So once the user has entered the proper amount, we will update the user's balance. We will subtract the withdrawal amount from the balance, and then we will display you have withdrawn this much amount and this is your new balance. So now what we have done is we have implemented this withdraw funds function. The next thing that we have to do is we have to call this function whenever the user wants to withdraw. So here in this switch statement, in the case 3, the third option is for withdrawing the funds. We have to call that function. So it will be withdraw funds, and here again this withdraw funds function takes the memory address of this balance variable as the argument, and that's why we will provide that. So it will be address of this balance variable. So now what we have done is we have written this program. Now what we do is we will run this program. So here it says welcome to the bank, view balance, deposit funds, withdraw funds and exit. I will say view balance. It says your balance is 0.0, and then again it will display the menu. This time I will try to withdraw, so I will enter the choice of 3, and now it says enter the amount to withdraw. I will say $10. Now it says insufficient balance, your current balance is 0.0. So this time I will go for depositing the funds, so I will enter the choice of 2, and it says enter the amount to deposit. I will say $100. Now it says deposited $100, your new balance is $100, and then it will display the menu. This time I will go for view balance. Now it says your current balance is $100, and then it displays the menu. And here this time I will try to withdraw. I will enter 3 and enter the amount. I will enter $50, and now once I enter that, it says withdrawn $50, your new balance is $50. So the program is working. In order to exit, I will enter 4, and that's it. The program terminates. Now here, whenever we run this program, the initial balance is 0. There is no way we are storing the user's balance in the in some database or in some file. We are not implementing that. If you want, you can implement that functionality as the exercise. So this is it, guys, for this particular video. Thank you for watching. If you like the video, hit the like button. If you don't like it, hit the dislike button. If you have anything to say, write that in the comment box. For more tutorials, subscribe to the channel.